and he was also a surgeon. So he was on ships, and when they would bring the wounded in, he would put them back together. Anyway, met some incredible people. It was fun. I was supposed to start my clinic at 10 o'clock and run for an hour. And actually, Marty Ray, the guy who started the program, he's got a love for people and mules and veterans. And he just said, run for an hour, Steve, or if you need to do more, whatever, just be around, be accessible to the people. I said, sure. So I go where this little mule is, and I'm looking at him, kind of enjoying with him. And the one person comes up, you Steve Edwards? Yep. I am. Can I ask you a question? Sure. Pretty soon, before I knew it was almost 1 o'clock. And people brought their chairs and set their chairs down and got all in a place where they can listen. And oh my goodness. And I used that little mule. I trained on him a little bit, showed him the come along hitch, showed him bits, talked about anything they wanted to talk about or problems that they may have. And boy, it was great. I'm telling you folks, that's something everybody needs to go see. It's really good. The bluegrass is great. The mules and the mule show that they had, it was terrific. I'm going to try to get my granddaughter to go next year. But anyway, Dave, you missed it, buddy.
Did they get you up on stage and you sang some songs?
Yeah, I sang the song Far, Far Away. In the bucket again.
Hey, you want to know what I came across? This is completely unrelated, but it made me. But you made me think of it. There's a streaming service. This isn't an endorsement or anything, so I don't know if there's other. I don't know the whole story of it, but it's called Tubi. Tubi. Guess what channel is available for free on Tubi? Grit
Oh.
channel. I was like, hey, this is that Grit channel everyone's always talking about. So I'm sitting there with my boys, 10, 8, and 5. I'm sitting there with them. And I told Sandra, I was like, hey, this is the channel Steve's always talking about. And I turned I turn it to that. And it's some old cowboy flick. And it cuts right into a scene where a cowboy is screaming and cauterizing his own wound. With the boys sitting right there. And she looks at, and they're looking like, what is this? And she yells at me. She goes, what are you showing them? I was like, this is what Steve Edwards told me to put on. Steve Edwards told me to put this show on. She goes, turn that off.
Oh, man.
Man.
I will sing a song for you.
Okay.
Oh, please release me. Let me go. For you are stepping on my big toe. And if I could move, I would get my rasp. And you could bet I would bang your head. And so if a mule gets on your foot, that's the song you sing, right? Yeah.
And either that or you whisper some poetry to them.
Yeah. Roses are red, violets are blue. Mules that make me hurt will be turned to glue.
There you go. Da-dun. All day, folks. Hey, Paulie is hanging out with us. I got to tell you, Steve, it had been a while since we had broadcast, and I clicked the go live button, and I didn't see anybody popping on. And I was like, well, where is everyone? Where is everyone? And YouTube and Facebook had both updated the permissions needed in order to broadcast. So, folks, you're going to have to go back and watch like the first 2.5 minutes because I was trying to get everything connected. Facebook and YouTube said, hey, it's been too long. There are some spider cobwebs on these ports here. We got to pull those spider cobwebs off. So we're streaming now to Facebook and YouTube. And we're so glad that you're here hanging out with us. Y'all been great over the last several weeks. And hey, there you go right there. That is the CD. That is the disc. Y'all want to get yourself a copy? Well, you got to go back. You got to watch the first several minutes of the broadcast on the replay to check that out. But hey, the way we're going to do this today is like we do it all of the other days when we're live. This show is 100% about you and what you're working on. So we would love to hear what it is you've been up to over the last 4 or 5 weeks, what you've been working on, maybe where you get stuck a little bit, where we might be able to help you. But before anything else, we would love to know that you are here. So put in the chat, Put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like in that comment section there. We'd love to say hello to you. We got Polly and we've got Rory already hanging out with us, and so it's good to have you all here. Name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like. The second thing is that you ask any and every mule or donkey question that you've got. You can put that in the comment section as well, and we will get to that. We will make sure you get the answers. I've got quite a few that have been built up that we'll be answering this week and next week. Put that in there. And then the third thing is that you share the broadcast. Now, we've been gone for a little while, and so folks have been watching the replay, but there may be some folks not hanging out with us today because they're like, well, hey, if they're not going to be there live, then I'll just watch a little bit later. Tag those folks in the comment section right now. You know who usually watches with us. Go ahead and tag them, and let's get them to spend a little bit of time with us and get them make their day. Let them know that Steve Edwards is back on the block and ready to rock. Woo! He's ready to go. With that, we'll go ahead and like I said, we got Polly and Rory hanging out with us. We're going to go ahead and just hop into our questions because we've got quite a few of them. We're going to start with someone who's got an untrained mule. Actually, leather and cleaning and conditioning. Steve, we're going to start with that because that's from Daryl. Daryl sent a message in, and he must have been hearing you talk. He says, I recently purchased a downhill hip pad, trail light saddle, and bridle. I have been extremely happy with all three, and Steve's advice has always been invaluable. I'm interested in learning how to care for the leather and saddle bridle. They are in great shape and want to keep them that way. I was thinking of wiping down with clean cloth after each use. When cleaning, my plan is liquid saddle soap following by a light coat of olive oil. What do you think of that plan or other suggestions? Thank you again for all your help. Daryl. What would you have to say to Daryl there, Steve?
Now, do I understand that that he found a used saddle?
He didn't say used, but recently purchased downhill hip pad, trail light saddle, and bridle. So it might possibly be used.
Yeah, who knows? But anyway, I always send a video, folks, and the video says prepare the saddle like this, and that's really important. And I talk about adjusting bridge and this sort of thing. I send you a video because I want you to know how to take care of your saddle, but I want you to know most of all how to make your mule comfortable. All right, and place the saddle in the right place. Now, and that's what I do. And then here's another part. Is the comfortable part for you. Now, people, will tell me I need a padded seat because I put a lot of hours in the saddle. Well, if you put hours in the saddle like I have, 12 to 14 hours in the saddle, then yeah, you're doing a lot of riding. But I've never really used a padded seat until I started using my trail light. And be honest with you, I don't really like a padded seat for a guy. Guys tend to be forward in the saddle. Gals tend to be down in the saddle. But when I had my padded seat done, I had it lightly padded, and just so that I'd get an idea of what it's like. Now let's go back to the taking care of. When you get your saddle, you always take the saddle, take a spray bottle of soapy water, and spray the back half of the jockeys and the back half of the fenders. All right. Now that's if you got an all leather saddle. The fenders will be leather. And so here's the deal, folks. There's no difference between a custom made saddle, one that's made custom made for you, and my saddles. We use clickers. So every time we push a button, we cut out a piece of saddle. Our saddle makers don't have to go and cut every single piece out. Okay. Now, yeah, do they have to cut some pieces out for some custom stuff that we do? Yeah. But otherwise, folks, they still build the parts and then sew all the parts and nail all the parts and screw all the parts together. And there's no such thing as really a custom saddle unless you get into mega detail with stamping and this sort of thing. So here's the preparation. Soapy water, really important. A tablespoon of dish soap in a spray bottle, shake it up good, and spray the back half of the fenders underneath the jockey. That's the part where your thighs go. It's kind of rounded off. And then take and turn the stirrups and then put a pole in them overnight. Now, don't stop there. Don't stop there. Worst thing you all can do is oil your saddle before you shape it. When you want leather to be shaped to whatever form that you want, you have to wet it. And the thing about soap in the water, it helps keep the moisture in there longer, and you can oil right over top of it after you're done. So let's go back. I let it set overnight, and now my stirrups are twisted. They're not twisted correct for you as riding. Everybody sets the saddle a little bit different. If you're shooting for correctness in your equitation, then there's a few of you that are riding the saddle just perfect, just right. But unfortunately, most of us don't really understand what is correct equitation. In other words, how you're setting in the saddle and going down the trail, or setting in the saddle, loping and doing circles and this sort of thing in an arena. Now let's go back. Once you wet that saddle, you let it set overnight, wet it again, and then go ride. And I mean wet it like, soak it like an old wet newspaper, folks. You know, soak it good, and then go ride. Now you're having a custom saddle, because now the saddle is truly fitting you. You see, a saddle maker can't take measurements off of you and say, okay, now we're gonna have a saddle that you're gonna be comfortable in. You're gonna be comfortable if you have taken the time to wet the fenders and ride. Wet the fenders and ride. You may do it 6 months till you finally say, oh, okay, I got it like this. Now, I prefer a hard seat. Most guys, if you will hear what I have to say, if you tell me you're forward in the saddle, that means you're riding too much of a padded seat, and you really should ride a hard seat. Now, you adjust your fenders in order to be able to have them correct so that you correctly set in the saddle. Now, if your back or your legs are starting to bother you a little bit, adjust your fenders up and down, okay? Now, you've ridden for 6 months, let's say, and you've been putting, every weekend, you've been riding pretty steady. And now the saddle's starting to say, yeah, you like it. It's the way you like it. Now you oil it, but only oil it from the back side, folks. The back side is the hair side. And that back side, it will suck the oil in. You want to do it on a nice warm day. I mean, that's when it's nice. It's 110 here, Dave. Put the saddle out there, put your leather out there, soak it real good, and let it set overnight. And then go ride again. Okay? Now, here's the key thing everybody needs to do. When you're putting your saddle up until your next ride, always turn the fenders, always put a stick through them. Always. Always. That way it'll fit. Okay? That way they'll stay and they'll keep their shape. When I put a saddle in a tack room of these trailers, and there's just very little room in there, I'll take my fenders, turn them tight, tie them back to the tie strings on the saddle, and I'll slide them up in there. That way my fenders will stay straight, because there's no way to put a stick in there, folks, traveling going down the road. Now, if you do like me and Randy Figgins do when we're out ranching, we just jump the mules in the trailer with saddles on, and they do just fine. Matter of fact, we don't even tie them the majority of the time. If there's only like maybe 2 to 4 mules, we just leave them loose, and they'll turn and they'll look out the back, and they'll be the happiest mules in the world. But anyway, I gave you a ton of information, but let me tell you what kind of oil. Linseed oil on the back side. On the back side. Yes, you can use olive oil or Lexol, Lexol. And yes, you can rub it in. But remember this. If you put oil on that seat, you put oil on them jockeys and oil on them fenders, that oil is going to go on your pants. That's the way it's going to be. I can safely tell you, yeah, here it comes. Here comes the truth. Once I've shaped my saddle, and once I've oiled the back half of it, I'm done. I rarely do any cleaning. It goes back in so the flies can crawl on it and whatever else crawls on it. and I rarely clean on my saddle. Now, I get blood on it from cattle and hunting and stuff, and I get rained on. It gets, it gets used and it gets beat up. Okay, so having a saddle for looks is not completely for me, but having a saddle that that is easy to maintain and I can trust it, that's what means something to me.
Awesome. Very good. Well, thanks so much for the question, Daryl. Really appreciate it. While you were answering that, Yolanda hopped in, says, hello, boys. Tamar is watching from Elora, Queensland, Australia, and that means that we have gone international. Good to have you here, Tamar. It's overcast and rainy here. You know, we had about 4 days like that, and now it's back to all sunny skies. And it's not like I'm upset about it, but I could have gone for a little bit more rain and overcast for about another 3 or 4 days. But
Yeah.
hey, sunny skies, don't have to shovel it.
And Yolanda, she's from the Netherlands.
That's right. Oh, hey, you know what? She didn't put where she was watching from, and I didn't even think about it. Two Glockenspiels. Good to have you here,
Yeah.
Yolanda. Let's see
Yolanda
here.
has been
Oh, go ahead.
Yolanda has been fighting poor farrier service for over a year, and she just sent me some pictures of her mule's feet, and man, they look good.
Good. Well, you know what? That's a question that we've gotten over time is like, is it possible to correct the foot? Is it possible to get the foot back? And if I recall correctly, like, yeah, in a lot of cases it is, but it's going to take a lot of time and it's going to take a lot of work. So, but it does feel good to see it pay off, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's these. She sent me the pictures, and I'll have to make sure. Maybe she hasn't now. She can send them to you. But oh man, they look. The feet really look good. And listen, folks, it's up to you to take care of these mules, and don't listen to these horse people who say you don't have to shoe your mule because they say, "Oh, that's one of the reasons I got a mule is I don't have to shoe them." Yes, you better shoe them. If you don't have a good foot underneath that animal, you don't have a good animal. And I've seen some horrible, horrible feet, and people are using these mules, and the mule's paying the price.
All right, let's see here. She says, still unvaxxed and alive and kicking. There we go. Awesome. Linda, the mule servant, and Theo, the sweet one-eyed mule in autumn, Technicolor, Central Ohio. 42 degrees Fahrenheit and sunny, but bring in the green tomatoes tonight. It's going to be green tomatoes tonight. Very, very good. It's good to have you here, Linda. How things going with Theo? Jorge is watching from Georgia, Akron. This is George from Akron, California, using... let's see. I just purchased my saddle. Can't wait to get it in and saddle up my donkey Paco. Be sure to send in pictures. That's going to be awesome, George. Let's see here. Gene is watching, says, hello. Bought my first mule in April and love it. Live in Iowa and weather is getting really chilly here. It's about 50 degrees today, but around 25 to 30 at night. Yes, that is chilly. Let's see. Polly says, you just made me feel really good. I don't clean mine every time either. Roger is watching in Milan, New York. Cloudy and cold. Barbara says, hi, Steve and Dave. Glad to see you back. It is cool in Missouri. Yolanda says, I have a new farrier, and boy, he knows his stuff. David, I will send you the pictures right now. Okay, I'll hop over to Messenger in a second. Lori is watching from Oxford, Florida, sunny Central Florida. Supposed to be 44 degrees tonight. Send it our way. Hey, Mr. Coffee himself, David Pengelly. Cool but beautiful here today. So good to have you both back. Yeah, y'all be honest. Even if it was just Steve, y'all be equally as happy. I'm just a little sidekick here. Laura is watching from Tennessee, says, I enjoyed talking with Steve at the Mule event here a couple of weeks ago. He suggested that I purchase the video for donkey driving, not mule driving, but I did not see that video specifically said donkey driving at your store. Did I overlook it? You know what? I'll take a look and see if I've got the right one there. While I'm doing that, Barbara says, I've been working hard with my Molly. The come-along hitch has been a lifesaver. What a difference. I can get Daisy in the trailer easily. How can I prepare her to go places and get her back in after I'm done riding? So afraid she will bolt and I will lose her again. Looking for advice.
Come along hitch, come along hitch, come along hitch, folks. The thing with the come along hitch, as with riding, as with driving, And all this is your timing. Your timing. Yes, I know in the videos it sure looks like everything went smooth and easy for me. But you also got to remember it's been 50 years of the timing. Have I lost a lot of my timing? Oh, yeah. At 73 years old, I've lost some timing. But, folks, the come along hitch, you should not be even thinking about a halter except for if you want to tie them up into a trailer or temporarily tie them someplace. But everywhere you go, when you go to take them from the corral to the hitch and rail, come along hitch. Teach them to stand still, drop the rope on the ground, don't even bother tying them. They should have so much respect, and you should have so much timing that if they even think about moving, their nose is going to be sore, and they'll get to where they'll stand still. I showed the folks there in Shelbyville with that little mule that the Wilsons bought. I showed them, and I hadn't touched that mule. And less than 15 minutes later, that rope was on the ground, and that mule was standing there. And I yelled and screamed at him. I had the people yell and scream at him. You know how I do, Dave. And that mule didn't move. So and that's just one simple, less than 10 minutes worth of training. Okay. So yes, you need to do it. Yes, you need to practice on it, and use that come along hitch. When you go anywhere, you go someplace new, you go to a campground someplace and go someplace new, come along hitch, come along hitch, come along hitch. You should be using it all the time, and then work on your timing.
Should I do my Steve Edwards crazy yelling impression? Ha ha ha! Get out of here, mule! Ha ha!
That's right.
Y'all can copy that and use that as your ringer now. Whenever somebody rings,
go. As your ringer, hey, that's an idea.
Use Steve's as your ringer. Use mine as your text message. All right, moving right along here. Got another question. This one coming in from Suzette. Suzette asked the question. I bought a mule at auction. I don't know much about anything except that he is 14.3 and 4 years old, recently gelded. He comes up for face rubs and follows me from a few feet away while I'm in his pasture. He arrives with a rope halter, lead rope on, and I untied it on day 3 to keep him safe while he is on his own. I ordered your foundation kit for the future. For now, we are getting to know each other. The issue right now is I need his weight to give him warmer. He is skinny with a pot belly. I can't get a tape around him to measure. Do you have any suggestions on how I could get his weight, or will I just need to wait until I can handle him? Thank you for your time if you got this far.
Yeah, just wait. Getting his weight is not that big of a deal. Using that come along hitch, building a foundation. Yes, they have a pot belly because they get overfed and incorrectly, and also they probably have a pot belly because you didn't get the teeth floated. Now you can bet that mule coming from the sale like that sale barn, that the teeth hadn't been floated. Get the teeth floated and start spending time with that come along hitch. Don't worry about the weight. The pot belly is called a mule, and they get that from their daddy, the donkey. You ain't going to change it. Can you make it better? Yeah, you can make it better by feeding them properly. And Dave, we got some information for that. We can give to her for that. And feeding them properly, and keep your mule in a small pen. Don't turn them loose. I can't tell you how many people this week, Dave, I've talked to, and now they can't catch their mule. The mule was really doing well. They got him home. They rode him over there before they bought him, and he was looking really good. They brought him home, turned him in a pasture, and now they can't catch him. Yeah, and then it gets worse. When they do catch him, they can't do anything with him. When you bring him home, put them in a 20 by 20 stall at the biggest, and that's where they stay. Oh, but it's too small. No, it's not. It's not. My wife's little mule, 28 years old, she spent 26 years in a 20 by 20 stall. So they don't need it, folks. They don't need a pasture. They don't need a great big corral. They need to stay in a small pen so that they will pay attention to you.
All right, then. So if y'all want some information on feed, you can go to muleranch.com/feed talk. I put a link in the comment section. Go check that out. It's a great video, great discussion on feed and creating a feed and nutrition program. And then I'll have a link in the comment section to Mules Can't Stand Prosperity, which helps you set up your feed and nutrition program as well. Hopping back over into questions that we've got for today. The next one comes from Kinsey, and it's about a Zonkey. Says, hi Steve, I recently purchased a 5-year-old Zonkey at an auction. I have no information other than a short video of her previous owner riding her doing a flag presentation. I'm not finding information specific to Zonkeys. Do you have any resources or advice for me? I want to gently earn her trust so that I can ride her. Are your training products and videos appropriate for a Zonkey? What about tack and saddles? I don't want to use anything that's not appropriate for her body and bone structure. Any advice you can give would be greatly appreciated.
Wow, that's great. You got yourself a Zonkey. One of them that I trained, a Zonkey and a Zorse as well, several of them. But anyway, here's the problem, folks, when it comes down to Zonkeys, is the zebra side. They can be completely just loving, doing everything just right one day, and the next day they don't even know who you are. Why do you think so many zebras in Africa and they're not being ridden? Yeah, I can tell you, they don't think things through. Watch them. They run and they run and they run and they bite and they kick, and they can sure be a booger. They sure can. Folks want them for the stripes and things like this, but the problem is their mind ain't right. It took me quite a while to work with this one Zonkey in Kentucky at the what's the name of that place where they have now they have the ark, and they have a deal where you can go through and see the biblical world, and I can't think of the name of it. Some of you may know it. So Ohio,
Williamstown.
No, Ohio Kentucky border. They built the ark. The same people that built the ark also built this other company. And it's it's more focused on the beginning of biblical times and earth and this sort of thing. And I can't think of it. Maybe somebody, what's her name with the one-eyed mule might know.
Well, it's from Answers in Genesis. They're the ones that created it, the ark. I'll see if I can find it here. Anyways.
Yeah. They're really tough. Will my saddle work? Yes. Okay. Will my bidding program and this sort of thing work? Yes. But remember, just like with a mule, you're riding a mule, a horse, and a donkey. 3 of them in entities. Now, when you're riding a Zonkey, you're riding a zebra and a donkey. And the donkey's okay. I mean, you can't get much smarter, much better than a donkey. They're great. But the zebra inn is the lights are on, but ain't nobody home. It's tough. It's probably one of the toughest animals I've ever tried to stay with, because you would show them and they would do good, and a couple hours later you'd come by and show them that same thing again after you've done something else, and they wouldn't even have a clue of what you've done. So anyway, hopefully this Zonkey is a different Zonkey. It's amazing that somebody has been able to ride one with a flag even, and now they're selling it because they're kind of unique. I don't know. Makes me wonder what's going on.
Creation Museum.
Yep. Yeah, I trained a camel there with my come-along hitch, a Zonkey and a Zorse with the come-along hitch. Yep, that come-along hitch is the ticket.
It is the ticket. And y'all, if this is the first time you're ever hearing about the come-along hitch, y'all need to go check it out. We actually sell a ground foundation starting kit, and this starting kit it includes the come-along hitch, which is basically everything you're going to need, all you're going to need for ground foundation training, for corrective training, for tune-ups. It does come with a rope halter, and here and there you might need it. If you're going to do some surcingle training, you're going to need it. if you may need it to lead here or there when you're not going to use the come along hitch, but for the most part, it's there as a convenience. The come along rope is really what you're after, and the video Problem Mule Building a New Foundation gives you everything that you need to know in order to leverage that come along rope and allow that rope to work on your behalf. So I put a link in the comment section. Y'all can go there, check it out. Fantastic tool. Won't lead you wrong. Matter of fact, you can look at all of the reviews that folks have put in, and lots of really, really good comments there on just how impactful the come along rope has been. Next comment here, next question. This one comes from Chrissy. Says, I've been following you for some time now and extremely grateful for all the information you provide. I am in Tasmania, Australia. We'll go ahead and give her a glockenspiel. And I have a passion to have a mule as my next riding partner. Sadly, I lost my riding horse of 17 years in May. I always said that when he was getting older, I would chase my mule dream. Sadly, I had to make the decision to put him down due to aggressive intestinal carcinoma. So sad to hear that. Anyways, I purchased 2 mares for last year. Sadly, after 5 attempts, I did not, or for AI, sadly, after 5 attempts, I did not receive a positive pregnancy. I have looked at purchasing weanling. However, at the $10,000 price tag as weanlings, I can't justify it. I have owned and bred a few standard donkeys and love the disposition, quirky yet very loyal nature. Living in Tasmania, Mammoth Jacks are all in Queensland. I would love to see a Mammoth donkey and mules out and about, and my goal is to set up a mountain trail course for donkeys, mules, and horses to test their skills. How cool. So after much consideration and consultation with my very supportive husband, we are considering importing our very own Mammoth Jack and Ginny. I want to give donkey and mule lovers in our home state the best opportunity at owning one of these amazing creatures. I am after some reputable names for Mammoth donkey breeders. Please, disposition is a must, not interested in color over disposition. So Chrissy's got a lot of good stuff to say there at the very beginning. Disposition, it's conformation first, disposition second, and training third, and training in quotations. So Steve, I know that we do not make recommendations because we don't know the mules, we don't know the animals. I know that there are just all sorts of different places that she could look. Do you have any insights, experiences, or information that you may want to share with Chrissy just to help her feel like she's got a little bit more by way of confidence to move forward?
Right there in Australia, you got Dave and Di, and Dave's got a great jack, and he does AI. He also can ship semen. So I would suggest you contact Dave and Di right there in Australia, and they can fix you right up. We got phone numbers and this sort of thing. So if you want to email me at steve@muleranch.com, I can sure give you the information of Dave and David, and he's got a great jack. He's got it's very much the type of jack conformation, this sort of thing, and also comes from the Black Bart line. Now, here's the thing: people say they're a gated jack. If they tell you they're a gated jack, you go the other way, because here's the deal: all jacks have a single foot, and is it a form of gait? Yes, but don't be fooled by here. Hey, I've got the only gated jack. No, a gated jack, can be like a foxtrotter animated in the front and rear, or it can be like a Tennessee Walker animated only in the front end. But you will watch a donkey how they walk. That's one of the reasons they're so nice to ride, because they have the single foot, and they've actually passed that single foot over onto their mule sides, which also makes a very nice ride. That's one of the reasons mules are so nice to ride. That donkey that Jorge has there in California, that's a good looking donkey. I mean, a sharp looking donkey. And I'm going to be talking to Jorge when after I get done here. I'll be giving Randy Figgins a call first, and then I'll be calling Jorge as well and visit with him. But anyway, she needs to contact Dave there in Australia.
All right. I sent a message back, told her to reach out to you so you can get them connected. Next question we've got. Actually, let's hop back over to the chat. Let's see here. We've got Barbara. Let's see. Linda. Yolanda. Barbara. Jim watching from Western Maryland. 30 degrees, snow and rain mix. That sounds pretty slushy. Let's see here. Sherman Johnson is watching. Oklahoma. 56 and sunny. Very good to have you here. Hey, Myra's watching. Good to see you again. We're taking advantage of the cooler weather, making good progress. I'm learning to make our sessions shorter and simpler to keep making progress. Why is shorter important, Steve?
Well, shorter is important because the number one thing is you got a place to stop. One of the downsides is if we can get a little bit good, we'll keep on doing. You want to build a foundation first. So, what does shorter look like? It looks like this. After you've taken the mule in a circle 3 times, and the mule's head's down, and the mule's eye is relaxed, and the mule's ears are quiet, that's one. Okay? That's one. So, you can actually know what a mule knows in a 10-foot circle. You don't need to do much more than that, but keep your sessions simple. This is what I would do. Let's just say how simple. Ask, tell, demand. Okay? So I'm going to have my mule go in a circle with my come along hitch, go underneath his neck, round behind the hip, go around. First time he goes, he's going to be kind of worried. Then I go underneath his neck, go around his hip. Next time he goes, it's going to be better. Third time he goes around nice and quiet. That's one. We're done. In less than 3 minutes, we have started building a foundation with a come along hitch to go to the right. Now we go to the left 3 times. Now, it may take us 10 times to get 3, but we want 3 in a row, nice and quiet. So today we do 3. Next time we train, it can be a week later. It can be the next day, but don't train every day. Give them a break. Let them enjoy the time with you, okay? They want to spend time with you. You have to be the herd leader. So you do 3, 6, 9, 12. So you'll finally get to the point if you go around in a circle 12 times, and the mule just can't wait to do it for you again, and can't wait to do it for you again, and do it for you again. And it'll get really awesome. Build a foundation that way. Keep it simple.
Very good. Continuing along here, got a question from Juliet. She lives in France. Bought saddles. Yeah. Hey, thank you for the reminder. Hello, I'm in France. Friend of mine have bought your saddles for mules. Anouk and Dominic. They are traveling in from Europe, or they are traveling in Europe. I would like to know if we can buy in Canada. Oh, she's in Canada. Okay, so here we go. Canada. A friend of mine is in Quebec City for 1 month. Let's see here. I know she grows. My Justine is 3 years old. We do not have mule saddles here. I know she'll still grow until she's 7 or 8 years old, but I would like to find her first saddle that would fit well on her back. I can't find anything at this time. She's thin, shoulders and back in line. So I told her we'd talk about it. Here is her mule.
That's in Canada.
Canada.
Well, good. Okay, so what that is a pack saddle, and it is a military pack saddle, but it's not cinched correctly. It's cinched more like you would cinch a horse instead of a mule. Notice how the straps from the bottom of the saddle are at an angle. They should be straight up and down. So that cinch should come toward the middle more of the pack mule for the pack saddle to work correctly. The mule's got a nice back on it and nice clean head. And as per usual, they're always bigger in the belly. They're hourglass shaped, folks. That's the way they are. They carry their weight down low, where horses carry their weight up high. She is using a bridle halter. It's going to give her problems later on, nylon halter. I never suggest nylon halters, but yeah, we can fix you right up. The saddles that we have here will be great. I would suggest, Dave, and you can give her the information to this, and we need to add this word to it because it says right now, you scroll down on the front page of Queen Valley Mule Ranch website, and it says saddle fit, mastering saddles. And I think we need to add the word mastering the saddle fit. And you think about that. Anyway, that is a great resource. Lots of information there. Dave has really put together an awesome bunch of videos. And it's free. I dropped the F-bomb, Dave. Oh, man. I dropped the F-bomb. Free. And so you go there and look. Folks, I want you to be educated, okay? Don't just say, take it for Steve's for granted. Don't do that for what he says. I want you to watch the videos, watch other people's videos, and then make a decision. I want to use Steve's equipment or Steve's ideas or whatever, or no, I'm not even going to go back to that knucklehead again. Whatever you decide, okay? But you make that decision. It's all free. It's 50-some years of me working at things, and Dave has categorized it and put things together. So you all there's lots of good information there. So go to it.
All right, next question. This one comes from Melissa. I recently got a 6-year-old from a livestock lock. I hope it's a mule she got and not a child. I don't know anything about his history, but he seems to have good ground manners. Leads, backs, stands, respects my space. However, he does not completely trust me and will bolt if he thinks he is in danger. Well, wouldn't you? He is still, I'm just giving you a hard time there, Melissa. He is easy to catch after this happens, but something as simple as me stomping my foot 10 feet away from him can set him off. He is also very anxious and will move away when I touch his legs. Do you have a video that would be a good place for me to start with him? I have retrained 3 Arabians, and I'm familiar with the flight response, but not with the mule. I have used natural horsemanship for years, mainly Bill and Tom Dorrance and Ray Hunt. Any suggestions would be appreciated. Thank you, Melissa and Winston the Mule.
Hey, Melissa, you just clicked a little button there. Tom Dorrance, yeah, great guy. And natural horsemanship, yep, good stuff. Old Tom told me one time, he said, Steve, I went to pick up a foot of a mule one day, and I still got the use of my nose. Yeah, back foot almost cleaned him up. And he says, mules are like, horses are like mules, only more so. So, yeah, Tom's a great guy, or was. He passed away. Get a chance, go find Dr. Miller's book, Dr. Robert Miller's book on Natural Horsemanship Explained. And Bob has spent a lot of time. He knew Tom, he knew Ray, and this sort of thing. And he has gone with me to Brazil, and we've done natural horsemanship there, natural mulemanship with me. Anyway, read the book. He explains it. You'll also see a mule trainer in there by the name of Steve Edwards, where he talks about me. And that's just fun, just a little sideline. So let's go on. With your mule, I would strongly suggest that you get my ground communication kit. Folks, your ground work helps your timing, not just so much the mule. Yes, it helps the mule. And like I said before, with that other mule we just saw a picture of with the nylon halter, all that nylon halter is going to do is cause you problems. That's the biggest reason these animals can pull away from you, is because the web halter, the nylon halter, does not teach them properly to go here, go there, and do whatever. It doesn't do it. But using that come along hitch, and use it as I see in the video that I have, that come along hitch will get you a good foundation and will give you good communication.
Awesome. All right, so we've got Yolanda's pictures here. Let me see here. How do I get it just to one screen? There we go. All right, so these are Yolanda's pictures, and here's what she sent over. Let's see.
Isn't that pretty? Notice there's only 4 nails, folks. Oops. Look at that. Only 4. That's all you need. You only need 2 front nails. Now, oh, wow, look at that. Now, there's the foot all finished. There's a back foot all finished. Okay, see how nice that mule is standing? See how, yes, very, very correct. That's pretty. Not a lot of pressure on those flexor tendons. Looky there. Ah, guy sitting in a chair shoeing. That's pretty incredible. That is a well-trained mule. That's terrific. Good
Yeah,
job, Yolanda.
she's worked real hard there. That's great.
Yes, she has. That she's got my saddle and bridle and everything. But here's the thing: Yolanda will tell you, and maybe she'll click on it. Right now in the Netherlands, it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. So she's up watching our show at 1 o'clock in the morning. But ask Yolanda how important that come along hitch is, man. That come along hitch gives you everything that you need to have.
All right, moving right along here, we've got. Let's see. Gail in Wisconsin bought my mule in December and rode in a horse saddle, and he was tripping a lot. Bought a used trail light saddle from a gal, but it seems tight in the front as my mule is really wide. Would your pad help make that saddle fit better? I'm using a wool pad right now. Things have gotten much, much better with changing the saddle as far as tripping, but I can make things even better for us? Question from Gail there, Steve. What do you say?
Yeah, I've been talking with Gail for 2-3 days now, and she sent me pictures. And folks, listen, when you go with a wider saddle, you're going to get up on the 6th and 7th rib, and that really will make them trip. It'll even kick out a rib, you know. So if you can see the pictures that she has, which we don't have right now, but the saddle is too close. Will the pad help bring the saddle up off the back? Yes. That's the purpose of me developing the pad that I have, because it's only in the bar area that you raise the saddle up, okay? Then it'll work good. If you watch my video over on my saddle pads and watch that saddle pad video, you'll see me using a wool pad, and you'll see me using my pad. You'll see that wool pad, I can push the saddle right off. You got my pad, it makes the saddle stay in place. That's because of the Durachrome that's on my saddle pad. Now, yes, you need to have the saddle pad to bring the saddle up above the scapula. Yes, you do, especially on a quarter type mule like she has. Now, because here's the reason, okay, is that if we made a tree for that mule, it would have to be almost 1.5 inches thick in order for it to be up. But even then, it will go into the scapula of that type of a quarter type mule. So yes, I developed a pad for it, and it works really good. You can go online and you can see the different pads, but yes, Gail, we need to visit some more. She sent me pictures and this sort of thing, Dave, really great pictures. And she was fortunate enough to find a trail light saddle. But here's the unfortunate thing about the whole thing, folks, is she's already been using a horse saddle, and so has some other people been using a horse saddle. And so that's the downside, is folks don't realize that the mules are stoic and they brace into the pain. That's what they do. It's what they do. It's natural for them to do that. They brace into it. So you don't really know until they start tripping, or it's too late. So now, the mule's tripping now. So let's go back. Let's fix it. Get the mule to a chiropractor and get the chiropractic work done. Get the mule to the dentist and get the dentist work done, okay? And get them correct. And then whoever's doing the shoeing and the trimming, make sure that the foot is at the same angle as the shoulder. So it's not important to ride, Gail. And folks, all of you, listen to me. It's not important to ride. Get the mule mechanically sound first before you go on your trip. It's no different than getting your car ready, you know. Prepare your mule, you know. Get the teeth done, get the chiropractic work done so the TMJs are correct. There's a lot of things, folks. It's not just the saddle. Yes, the saddle makes a difference. It does. But get your mule physically ready so that when the mental time comes along and you're riding, you're going to be in good shape.
Awesome. Moving right along here. We've got Linda says, my thought about Chrissy is that if Dave and Di have a Mammoth jack, I would certainly not import her own jack. My neighbor kept his stallion on our property for years. Well trained, but still natural atomic pain in the backside. Laura is watching, says, hi guys, 41 and sunny from Missouri. Teresa is watching. Craig from Willisburg, Kentucky, sunny and 55 degrees. Almost missed the show, but you're here and we're glad to have you here. Nancy is that was Nicole. Nancy is watching from Pennsylvania. We met Steve in Tennessee and he gave a great guidance. I talked with you on the phone last week and decided to listen to your advice. Best decision of your life. Best decision of your life, Nan. Well, maybe top 100. I'm just messing with you, Steve. Miss Backwoods, 63 Northern Maine. Good to have you here. Oh, I put a link in the comment section for the Natural Horsemanship Explained. That's a link on Amazon. Y'all can go check it out. Nancy said the advice she listened to was to not buy a 12 hands mule and looking for something bigger. Thanks, Steve and Dave. Let's see here. Moving right along. Mr. 40T, Grandpa Ted and Gus says here in Uchesney, Utah, hot like the Dickens. All right. Well, hopefully it'll cool down there. It's cooling down here. Hopefully you get it up there. Nicole says we saw the difference in the pad at the American Mule and Bluegrass Festival in Tennessee. The saddle and pad stayed together, no slipping. Yep, that's pretty much par for the course. If you ever experience something different than that with one of Steve's pad, call Steve because it's not supposed to be working that way. We want to make sure that you got what you were expecting, and that is a pad that don't slide. Nancy says 40, and you know, folks, some folks don't know this. The pad and Steve's saddle are meant to work like Velcro. The wool that's underneath, the synthetic wool, is meant to work like a Velcro when up on top of the pad, and so they work hand in hand together. So if you only have the saddle and not the pad, or you only have the pad and not the saddle, you're not getting the whole deal there. Nancy is watching, 48 and windy in eastern Pennsylvania. We met Steve in Tennessee. Steve was meeting everyone and enjoyed his help. I talked with Steve on the phone and decided to follow his advice. Oh, she said this twice. Okay, great. Awesome, Nancy. Thank you. Linda says, yes, Steve's saddle pad keeps everything in place. If your mule decides to walk away while you have the saddle halfway up, the saddle sticks right there, all sideways and everything. Howdy from Georgia. It's chilly here. That's what Wayback Production says. Hilly Hole Farm. Scott from South Carolina, 53 and clear outside. Let's see. Does anybody else have any final questions? We've got more questions that we're going to get to next week from the weeks that we were gone. But Steve, that's all that I pulled together today. Anything else you want to talk about before we're all done here?
No, we're good, folks. You know, I try to tell everybody all the time, Dave, look, if you got a problem with me or my products, call me. Tell me, hey, Steve, my butt hurts. All right. I'll talk about your butt. No problem. I'll talk about your butt mule as well. All right. I want to help you out, you know. Isn't it amazing, Dave? Everybody's got a really good mule butt, you know, the butt mules. But no, if you got a problem with anything at all, you know, or you need a hand or got a problem with my products, call me. You know, I'll help you. I'll do whatever I got to do to help you. But boy, Dave, it was really awesome in Kauai when I went over there. And I put almost 18,000 miles, folks, in the air this past 3 months. It was amazing. Went up to see my brother-in-law in Vermont. That was beautiful. The downside about it, hadn't seen my brother-in-law and sister-in-law in 5 years. Wouldn't you know it? The COVID monster bit us. Yep, all four of us. I didn't even know I had COVID. I had a teeny bit of a runny nose, teeny bit of a sore throat for about 10, 15 minutes, or hours, I should say. Not even 10, 15 hours, probably with 3 or 4 hours. And they tested me and said, yep, you got COVID. I said, all right. Yeah, there we are. How about that? My wife, it hit her pretty hard, headaches, and she had spent about 2 to 3 days in bed. You hate to do that on vacation, Dave, you know, but anyway, been having fun, but I'm sure tired of traveling. I can tell you that, you know.
Yeah, well, it's nice to be back. It's good to be back on the show, too. I know that we'll be Excited to see everyone next week as well. Yeah, if you all have any questions, anything else, you can send a message to support@muleranch.com. We'll get back to you. A lot of stuff we talked about today you can find at muleranch.com. Lots of videos are free on our YouTube page. That's right, free. That's an F-bomb that we love saying here, and we'll say it over and over again and make no apologies for it. Y'all can check that out. There's great articles on the website, and of course, all of Steve's saddles, tack, pads, everything is available at muleranch.com. Yeah, so we're going to end right on the button here, 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, which folks who don't live in Arizona, they're thinking, aren't you on Mountain Time? Well, yes, we are on Mountain Standard because we are the Wild West out here and we don't change our clocks. All those other mountain people are on Mountain Daylight. We're on Mountain Standard, which means California rolled their clocks back to our time. So there you go, California. You're on Arizona time now there, suckers. So
And we carry guns.
Yep, that's right. So take that. Anyways, thanks everyone for hanging out. We appreciate it. Cannot wait to see you next week. Until then, God bless. Bye-bye, everyone.